We need to say something plainly. Care is not meant to be dangerous, and yet many staff accept violence as part of the job. It isn't, and normalising it quietly breaks teams and damages the reputation of the entire system. Hello, and welcome back to the Able to Care podcast. I'm Andy Baker, and today we're talking about harm and risk behaviour and how to reduce it without sliding into punishment, fear, or a control culture. So, we're building this through a lens of scenario. I want you to picture an adult services setting. Someone is escalated, they block a doorway, they shout, they threaten, and they're slamming objects. And the staff freeze. One tries to reason, another barks instructions, and suddenly the room becomes a power struggle. Now, afterwards, people are saying, we did everything right. They're just violent. Nothing works with him. But we need intellectual honesty. What did we miss earlier in the chain? We found a person or engaged in a person when they were at the 10. And that's what gets reported. That's what the incident report covers. What happened when we went in when they were at 10? Sometimes what is missed is what happened when they were at 9, when they were at 8, when they were at 7, when they were at 6, when they were at 5, when they were at 4, when they were at 3, then 1. The early stages of intervention that were maybe ignored, maybe not noticed. Maybe they were deprioritized because staff had other things to focus on and I don't have time for that right now, even though warning signs of escalation were noticed. And sometimes I haven't got time for that right now, it's not priority, is actually then an escalating factor, meaning later on this person then goes to a state where suddenly the staff's attention is required and needed, and it's going to take them now half an hour to de-escalate the situation, another 15 to 20 minutes of writing it up, all because they didn't notice when the individual was at 2 or 3. They'd waited until this person got to 10. The other thing that we often get is after an incident like that, because there is sometimes a blame culture, because there is an acceptance of that's just part of the job, because sometimes staff may feel that because that happened on my shift, I must not be a very good carer. Suddenly that can create this shame defense, this deflection from that it wasn't their fault, it was the individuals. That they didn't contribute, they didn't affect it at all. And that's the problem with having a shame culture. We should be creating this culture of mistakes are stepping stones in learning. We should always be reflecting back on an incident to go, let's see what we can do to improve this and what can we learn from this. Because if we think we got it perfect, then we're kidding ourselves. We always need to reflect and go, there's things that I could have done better there. We need to be intellectually honest with that particular situation. The other thing that staff find is sometimes the instinct, when they are feeling under stress or crisis, the instinct is to go into control mode. They want retribution, they want punishment, they want something to happen because they know that that can't happen, because they know that that's not appropriate now in society. We can't punish the person. We understand maybe they can't help it for whatever reason due to emotional dysregulation. But now that makes the staff feel like nobody's listening to me, nobody cares about me, my opinion doesn't matter. The fact that I'm upset, the fact that I'm angry is irrelevant. But if we devalue that, we're devaluing the humanity of the care staff who do this amazing work, which unfortunately leads that they leave the industry. So, the real issue, prevention is undervalued. Most teams overinvest in what do we do in the crisis and underinvest in prevention and planning. So the question becomes, are we designing conditions that reduce escalation or repeatedly gamble on staff's coping skills, their ability to de-escalate, their ability to keep things safe? So the portable tool I want you to think about is detective, then firefighter. Think of support in 2 modes. We've got the detective mode. And the detective mode is where we're being a better detective than judge. We're trying to figure out what's going on. It's a bit like a scientist, I suppose. We're looking for a hypothesis. Why? Why is this going on? What's happening? What's right for this person? The detective mode is looking for prevention, for patterns, for plans, checking the environment, looking for triggers, looking at how relationships are developing and growing and building. The firefighter is crisis mode. The person who goes in, who's been heavily trained, notices a fire, whether it's safe or unsafe, and goes in, and their sole objective is to put the fire out. Now, if your organization lives in firefighter mode, so all the training is being focused on the ability to fight fires, well, staff burn out and incidences repeat. Even a case if you think of firefighters It became the responsibility of organisations to put things in place to prevent fires from happening. They didn't just go, well, don't worry about any of that. We'll just make sure we've got plenty of firefighters. We would know that they would get burnt out. We wouldn't be able to manage all the fires around. And yet, many organisations kind of don't consider that to be part of their overall strategy, the preventative, proactive side. I think people sometimes struggle as far as boundaries without power struggles. That they think that by setting boundaries, by creating kind of safe environments, by allowing or not allowing certain behaviours, that then they're going to lose their compassion. I think people really struggle with the concept of being kind and being boundaried. We manage it all the time, an awful lot, with friends and things like that. But when it comes into kind of professional law, where we feel a sense of authority in any way, I think that's where people really struggle. Give them an inch, they take a mile. If I don't hold my boundary, then... And sometimes we forget that we can hold a boundary, but with compassion. And that's the tension. You can be compassionate and still keep people safe. You can be boundaried without being punitive. The problem is when safety becomes control. If the goal is to win, we're framing it completely wrong. The goal is never to win. It's to reduce threat and create predictability and safety. Not just for the individual, but also for those in the environment as well. So if we're looking at this in different sectors or different places, the schools, it's about clear behavioural policies. They become crisis response plans only instead of skill building and prevention. How should staff be approaching to manage the rules? Or when they see somebody who's doing something that's not... I heard about it recently where a lad got detention for forgetting to bring a rubber. Are we seriously at that state that forgetting to bring a rubber is then worth an hour of an individual's time away from other learning, away from social interaction, away from being at home with family? I think that's vile. So schools, if they're reacting with that and going into consequence overdrive or boundary enforcer, are they forgetting about picking their battles? Are they giving the staff the ways to cope with the little behaviours? Are they giving them scripts of this is what you should do and how you should manage smaller behaviours? Because yes, there may need to be boundaries and rules, but there's a way to deal with it. Parenting. Consequence first parenting becomes daily enforcer. No parent, hopefully, wants to become the jailer, wants to become the police officer. Hopefully, they want to be the parent, the one that nurtures and loves. And finding that mentor, again, we can be boundaried and have high expectations, but we also can do it from a place of nurturing, care, and support. The same as in foster care. Control can feel like danger to a child with a trauma history and escalate the very thing that we're trying to stop. And distress behaviours in dementia often reduce when you adjust the environment, communication, and then routine. Prevention again. So, safety improves when the system stops relying on heroics and starts relying on design. Starts looking proactively rather than reactively. If you want this embedded in your team and want more information about whether it's physical intervention training or whether it be just understanding behaviour, the Able Target System gives a shared language, proactive planning and safer responses. We do have trainer and other such routes. But otherwise, thank you for listening to the Able to Care podcast. If you found any of this useful, please like, comment and share.
Have you ever encountered an adult or child's behaviour that has felt difficult, overwhelming or challenging? Have you sometimes felt at a loss of what to do or know that you didn't handle it quite right? People are complex and unpredictable, and their behaviour can be like the weather. We've all made the mistake of looking out the window and feeling safe to wear shorts, but 5 minutes later wishing for an umbrella. What if, like a weatherman, you understood how humidity, temperature and pressure all come together to cause the weather, allowing you to better prepare, predict and respond and prevent ever having a picnic ruined by a thunderstorm ever again? My book, called Targeting the Positive with Behaviours that Challenge, helps you to become the weatherman of behaviour. It provides you with a toolkit to increase competency, confidence, resilience and empathy, so you feel more assured about how to respond to distressed or dysregulated behaviours in others, including those affected by trauma, mental health, neurodiversity, learning disabilities or dementia. Build better connections, achieve de-escalation and improve outcomes for yourself and those you engage with my celebrated 6-stage target model. a step-by-step process to reduce distress for everyone. Discover my empowering, person-centered guide in Targeting the Positive, written by me, Andy Baker, available from online bookstores worldwide. Find a link in the description and order today.